The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Clark County, Nevada, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 35217. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new vehicle. Starting just under the front bumper in the front, you'll find two open-ended tow hooks on the passenger and driver side. You'll find dual air horns on the face of the bumper on the outer edges of the passenger and driver side. Unit identifier located directly in the center on the bumper face. Moving all the way to the driver's side face of the bumper, you'll find your electronic siren PA speaker. Also on the outer edge, your second air horn. As we move up onto the bumper extension, you'll find a tubbed storage location in the center. There is netting over that opening. As we move to the cab, you'll find your headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. Moving further up onto the grille, just above the Pierce logo is where you'll find your forward-facing emergency lights. As we move all the way to the very top, above the Freightliner logo, you'll find your grab handle for gaining access into the engine space. Here's some close-ups of the items that we just talked about: open-ended tow hooks, electronic siren, and air horn. Let's take a look at the bumper extension from the top area, dry deck material on the base. As we look inside, you'll also find the netting on the upper edge that's velcroed and a swivel discharge in the lower section center that is foam capable. Headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights and a turn indicator. Moving toward the grille area, you'll find your emergency warning light forward facing. As we move to the side, you'll find your emergency light intersection light on the side of the bumper extension. As we move toward the fender, you'll find your turn indicator. Moving directly above that, you'll find your air intake. And then just to the rear section of the fender is where you'll find your release mechanism lock for the hood release. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups. Here's the hood release. As we move downward from this location, you'll find Michelin tires, steel wheels, and also a sight gauge located in the center axle. As we move to the step area, you'll find LED lights under the steps. You'll also find your air inlet and shoreline inlet. Silver cap is your ultra low sulfur diesel. Blue cap is your DEF tank. Let's take a look back at the air inlet and also shoreline inlet. You do have an indicator when shoreline power is on. Ultra low sulfur diesel fill location, silver cap. As we move to the blue cap, this is your DEF tank. Let's move up onto the A pillar, where you'll find your mirrors housing a flat upper portion and a lower convex portion. These are manually controlled. The door lock and latch is easily accessible with a gloved hand. It is keyed, and also right next to it is a grab handle. Let's go ahead and move inside to the cab area on the driver's side. First, starting with the door panel. Attached to the panel, all of our safety and warning placards. As we move inside, you'll also find at the floor level the master battery switch. Moving up onto the seat pedestal, you'll find this yellow placard. This is the placard manufactured from Pierce regarding your apparatus for your department. There are comfort controls within the seat, air ride, and adjustable front to back. Some close-ups here. This is the master battery switch. Once again, the yellow placard is the placard has all of your specific specifications regarding your vehicle. Let's move to the dash, where you'll find a keyed ignition and a green indicator light. As we move up from that location, you'll find a black placard indicating the height, length, and gross vehicle weight rating. There are 4 switches on the left-hand side. First, starting with speed control, set, excel, resume, your headlights, and also increase or decrease for panel lights. As we move to the panel in the front, you'll find oil pressure, water temperature, and transmission. To the right, dual gauge, DEF, and fuel level, front and rear air, speedometer and tachometer directly in the center, diagnostic information will display in the visual display above the speedometer. Let's move just to the right of this location, where you'll find your ATC, automatic traction control, your filter minder, which is for the engine air filter, and then just beneath that you'll find your Allison transmission digital pad. Moving just to the right, you'll find your PTO shift. You do have an engaged PTO green indicator. You also have two indicators, OK to pump and OK to pump in motion. Just to the right, you'll find the yellow diamond. This is the pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. As we move across the switch panel, to the right, you'll find a set of switches. They are independently labeled and also have indicators. As we move down to the very bottom, you'll find all of your switching indications. These are all labeled. These are for predominantly your floodlights. As we move to the very far right, you'll find a Pierce seatbelt information display, red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted, green in the seat and belted. As we move down from that location, you'll find climate control, two cup holders, and then also a digital readout for pressure. Moving to the console, you'll find these red and white candy cane labels. These are indicating a wire is behind. They're independently labeled and also provide the location. To the right, you'll find a 12-volt access via USB and also storage locations for map books. Let's move overhead, where you'll find additional emergency warning lights. And then also just to the right, you'll find your PA siren module. And then just beneath that, you'll find do not move your apparatus when this light is on. It's indicating that you have a compartment or door open. Let's move to the David Clark headset system. There's a center control module, also independent control modules for each headset. As we move to the rear of the cab wall, you'll find a cab overhead light. Let's move to the passenger side of the vehicle, where you'll find the red and white candy cane label again, indicating a spare wire behind the panel. Also, you'll find a push button for your air horn. Let's move exterior now on the driver's side of the vehicle. We'll start at the lower portion just under the running board. This is the location of your pump drain. It is a twist, not a pull. As we move further to the rear, you'll find foam drains. Let's move up now above the running board. We'll start first on the left with the auxiliary inlet on the driver's side. It's a 2.5-inch ball valve. Moving down below that, you'll find color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Moving up to the Pierce American flag Eagle logo, this is your large diameter pump inlet. Just to the right, we have some warning labels here. Pressure hazard, caps may be under pressure, be cautious when opening them. As we move downward, you'll find a warning regarding only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after they received proper training. In the upper right, a warning regarding foam failure. Do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Just to the right, you'll find your draft tank foam lever and also foam inlet. Just beneath that, you'll find the main pump drain, and then also lift and turn latch will gain you access behind the pump panel. Let's move up to the upper left-hand side, where you'll find your Watrous placard indicating the type of pump that you have. As we move upward from this location, you'll find a minimum operation maintenance schedule. We'll talk about that in a few moments. As we move to the right, just some close-ups. These are the color-coded and labeled discharge drains, all of our warning and placard information. As we move to the far right of the panel area, you'll find the pump drain and also lift and turn latch, which will gain you access behind the pump panel. General view here of the upper section of the pump panel. Let's start down in the lower right. First with your fire pump primer. It is a push to prime air prime, at least 1,000 RPMs for best practices. Just next to that, you'll find the engine cooler. It is a twist, not a pull. And then further to the right, you'll find your foam level indicator. Let's move just to the left, where you'll find the number 3 driver's side discharge. It is a 2.5-inch discharge. Also the minimum operation maintenance schedule, which is located here for test pressures at 150, 200, and 250 psi. To the right, the red module is your Husky foam system. There are instructions for its operation on the placard. All the way to the very far left of the pump panel, number 1, driver's side discharge, 2.5 inch. You'll also find additional placards here for your Husky foam system specification and also foam system instructions. Number 1 and number 2, passenger side and driver's side discharges. Moving up, the number 3, driver's side discharge, and then just to the right, your pressure throttle governor. Please see your owner's manual for its operation. To the right, you'll also find an audible alarm for that pressure throttle governor. The outer edge of the bezel does allow you to dampen the sound. We do have a green indicator. It is an OK to pump. It's a green light. And then just beneath that, you'll find additional scene lights. Down at the bottom, you'll find your tank fill and recirculating line, and also tank to pump. Let's move to the upper portion of the pump panel. On the left, the gray module, master intake and master discharge gauges. In between the two of those, test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They're currently plugged, and these are for testing purposes. As we move to the right, you'll find your water level indicator. And then all the way to the very far right, you'll find your deluge discharge. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups of those items we just talked about. First, all of your gauges located across the bottom, color-coded and labeled. The foam is indicating that that discharge is foam capable. At the very top, you'll find the 2 cross lays. As we move to the exterior, vertical side, you'll find fold-down steps for gaining access aloft. Let's move down to the side area where you'll find a LED water tank level indicator, and right next to that, you'll find a side-facing floodlight. Let's move down from this location to the mounting rack for your folding water tank. This is a release mechanism, the red handle release. There's also one to the rear of the apparatus. In the upper corner, you'll find a side-facing floodlight. As we move downward, you'll find a marker light just in front of the rear axle. Slightly behind the rear axle, you'll find a lower emergency warning light. Let's take a look down at the very bottom section. You'll find folding wheel chocks in front of and also to the rear of the rear axle. As we move to the center, once again, marker turn indicator light. Let's go ahead and take a look inside the compartments. First, starting with the front compartment, there is a pull-out tray located in the front. The release is on the lower right. Move to the rear axle where you'll find dual Michelin tires and steel wheels. Moving to the rear section of the axle, side-facing emergency warning light. This is the lower section. As we move to the rear of the axle, an additional folding wheel chock, and then also a roll-up compartment door, LED lighting inside this compartment. Let's move around now to the rear of the apparatus. We'll start first with the release mechanism for your folding water tank. As we move to the very top, you have an adjustable spot floodlight at the very top section. General view here of the rear of the apparatus. As we move to the very bottom section, you'll find perimeter lighting located just underneath. You'll also find a release mechanism pin, which will assist in holding the water chute. There is also one on the passenger side. As we move to the lights here, we have a brake, turn, reverse, and emergency light. There is also a cupped switch for your rear scene lights. An additional outside ladder on the left side. 2 protruding tow hooks on the passenger and driver's side frame rail. Release mechanism for the handle that will control the rear dump. As we move just to the right of this location, you can see at the very bottom section you have a passenger side rear discharge. It is also foam capable, 2.5 inch. This is the hose chute. It does have a locking mechanism on each side. As you move to the upper portion, you'll find an adjustable spotlight, emergency warning light, and rear-facing scene lights. This is the 2.5 inch direct tank fill. It is a ball valve. As we move to the very top section, you have the LED water tank level indicator and then also 2 scene lights to the rear. On top of the vehicle, you'll find a direct tank fill latch at the very top section. As we move to the forward section, your foam tank A, and also a warning regarding do not mix different brands or consistencies. As we move to the dunnage, on the left-hand side of the image, you'll find your Husky foam system. There is also a fill location for that hydraulic oil. As we move to the right, you'll find your master stream device, Deluge. It is an extend-a-gun. Let's take a look at the cab area. Just as a reminder, this is a non-walking surface. General view here of the rear and passenger side of the vehicle, exterior ladders. Let's start with the rear compartment. Roll-up door, LED lighting in this compartment, and ventilation. As we move forward to this location, you'll find a LED emergency warning light, same configuration as you have on the driver's side. Michelin tires, dual wheels, and steel wheels. As we move to the upper portion, side-facing floodlight. Moving just downward from this location, you'll find your ladders. Ladder release. Let's go ahead and move to the forward position now. Marker light. Just to the forward compartment. You'll find in a pull-out tray in the lower section. The release mechanism is located on the right. Upper portion, you'll find a side-facing floodlight and also LED water tank level indicator. Additional steps for gaining access to go aloft. They are fold down. As we move to the cab area and midsection, we'll go and start with those operations next. First, let's start at the very bottom underneath the pump panel on the passenger side. LED light located just under the pump panel. As we move up, you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. In addition, you'll find a warning label indicating extreme pressure. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. As we move upward, we'll find the number 2 passenger side discharge. It is a 2.5 inch. Also, additional access into the pump panel. Lift and turn will gain you access behind the pan door and also the passenger side scene light switch. Additional access panel. As we move forward to this location, you'll find your 2 crosslays located in the upper portion and grab handles for gaining access aloft. As we move to the front section of the cab, same configuration. Steps in the lower section, gaining access to go into the cab area, LED lights in those step areas. Let's move just inside the cab door where we'll find additional warning label here regarding facing the vehicle while climbing on and or out of the vehicle. Also on the driver's side and passenger side door, you'll find additional safety and warning placards. General view here of the exterior portion of the cab. Mirrors, the upper portion will be flat, lower portion will be convex, once again manually controlled. Release latch lock located at the rear section of the fender. As we move to the bottom section, you'll find Michelin tires, steel wheels, and also your sight gauge located in the center of the axle. Directly on the top of the fender, you'll find your turn indicator. As we move to the forward section of the apparatus, headlight structure housing low and high beam headlight and a turn indicator. From this location, let's go to the front bumper. This is your intersection emergency warning light. Congratulations, Clark County, Nevada, on your new Pierce Fire apparatus, job number 35217. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.